guys, happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing fantastic. Today we're following up on our last week's topic, which is effective ways to deal with having issues with one set of your in-laws or both. The first most important thing on my list, and one of the things that I always go through with my couples, if they're having issues with any family members, it could be a sister-in-law, it could be a cousin, anyone in the family, is to be a united front. What does this mean? It means that before you argue with anybody in the family, before there is any talk with anyone outside of the marriage, the two of you need to come together and you need to have a effective and straightforward conversation. The both of you need to say your piece and how it is that you're feeling. When you're talking about how you're feeling, as I've mentioned before in my previous videos, make sure you're using I statements. What are I statements? I statements are when you take a responsibility for your feeling and things, and you start the sentence with I rather than you or she or he. So something like, I feel hurt when your mother, and then ... you fill in the blank. So always start the statement with I, because then you're kind of taking the responsibility away from the person you're speaking of and you're putting it on yourself. So make sure you're having direct conversation with your spouse. Make sure you guys are on the same page. Now, let's say you are having this conversation. What is the point of this conversation you're having with your spouse? And what is it that you want to take away from the conversation? You want to make sure that you are clear about what is causing you to feel the way you're feeling. What is it that is making you feel less than? What is it that is making you feel anxious when you're around your in-laws? What is it that you hope can be changed in the next 3 months, in the next 2 years, and eventually resolved? The most important part of this conversation is to be very specific and accurate about what it is that you would like to be changed. And then the second most important part is to create boundaries. So the two of you need to sit down and you need to talk about specific boundaries that you want to have within your marriage when it comes to time and space from the in-laws. For example, you sit down and together, your husband or your spouse says, I want to see my parents 4 times a week. And you say, I want to see them once a month. Well, the compromise here would be to see them maybe twice a month, because that seems like a fair in between. So basically you take an average median of what your spouse wants and what you want, and you come up with something that's right in between, which I always say is the fair point, and you create that specific boundary and you write it down and you both sign it, almost like a contract. And then what you do with this is that you don't take this to your in-laws. You make sure that your spouse, the one dealing with the set of parents that are causing the rift or the issues, your spouse is the one that talks to his or her parents, not the other person, not the person that is feeling under attack. And if it's an issue on both sides, then you take it to your parents and he or she takes it to his or her parents. The point of this is that you never want to be the one taking conversations about boundaries to your in-laws. You want to make sure that it's their son or daughter. The reason is that they can get defensive, and there's nothing to get defensive about. This is the boundary that you guys are setting. You're coming together and you both agree on it, and they're going to have to respect it. Another thing I really want to go over that I think is very important is the person who is feeling attacked needs to make sure that they have a person, a friend, a trusted source that they can speak to other than their spouse. Reason being is that obviously you want to be open with your spouse and you want to tell them what's going on, but at the same time, when you're having conversations with your spouse about his or her parents, you want to have a deep understanding that this is this person's parents. Their normal was part of what they grew up with, is what is seeming abnormal to you. So you have to remember that this is what they've known all their life. This mom or this dad or this situation is what they've known all their life. So you don't want to attack their parents because that's all they've known, and also because this is a loved one. This is the person that raised your husband or your wife. So even though you want to be open, there's certain things that you may be feeling that may be really too harsh to say. So make sure that you're not going overboard. But it is important for you to make sure that you are talking this stuff out, even the harsh things that you're feeling. That's when your sister or your mom or your best friend or someone that you just feel really comfortable with, it could be a coworker, comes in and you want to share these emotions with them. So to wrap it up and review, I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys a quick step-by-step. Number one, make sure that you are a united front. Number 2, make sure you're having open, effective conversations. Number 3, make sure the person who is under attack has someone outside of the marriage to speak to. And number 4, make sure your boundaries are set and the person whose parents are the trouble parents is the one speaking to them and sharing the new boundaries with them. And I always say you come back and review everything after 3 months and see how things are going. And hopefully things are going great and you guys have resolved the issue as much as possible. And always remember, no marriage is perfect, no family is perfect. There's always some issues along the way. Welcome them and challenge yourself with them. Hope this helps. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you.